All right, my new title for this talk reflects the notion that the North Star is a symbol of freedom and freedom seeking that emerges from the African American experience, but is widely used as a symbol in American culture. Here you see a drawing that's very commonly used, this is from a children's book, of how you find the North Star. But I wonder if you were in a dark field without knowledge, extensive knowledge of the sky, and gee, there are a lot of other stars up there other than the North Star. Could you actually find the North Star? Not to mention that that would have to be on a moonlit night, on a night when you couldn't see the stars. How would you then navigate? Well, this is some of the reality of the issue of finding freedom with the North Star. The North Star becomes famous because Frederick Douglass establishes a newspaper with a co-founder, Martin Delany, in 1847, December of 1847, the North Star, which from that moment becomes a symbol of the search for freedom and for freedom-seeking people. We can find this symbol in the work of many American artists. Here are just some from the whose work starts in the Harlem Renaissance. Jacob Lawrence, of course, you're looking for the star. Okay, Aaron Douglas, these are two from Aaron Douglas's work. William H. Johnson. This symbol ramifies throughout children's books, history textbooks, and a variety of other uses in the American experience. Novels, all kinds of things talk about the North Star as a symbol of how to get to freedom. But if we look at the Underground Railroad map, and this is just one kind of a map, this map is a little bit deceptive, but it was the best one I can find. Everyone who is escaping from slavery is not going north. That's one of the most important things to understand. Some people are going south. Why? Because after certain dates, you can get to places in the Caribbean. For example, the British outlawed slavery in the 1830s. And therefore, if you could get to a ship that was going to a British territory or British island, then you could be free there. Some people go west. Some people go west into Texas. Some people go west into California. Some people go west and south into Mexico, which after 1820, you can be free. The people who actually manage to get free by going north tend to be people who are living in states that border free states. People who are from Louisiana, Alabama, Florida, these places are not, in most cases, are not actually trying to go north. However, they were always being pursued. And there are many images, there are thousands of runaway ads, and there are hundreds of illustrations of people trying to escape. Here is some of the actual reality of the experience. If you look at the runaway numbers, we think, historians having to estimate, think as many as 1,000 people per year might have tried to escape. But everybody who ran away was not trying to escape. Some people were running around, or as they say, lying out and then coming back, and that's a complex story. If you want to ask me about that in the Q&A, please do. The people, you see often illustrations of families or couples running away, but generally speaking, the people who were actually able to get free tended to be young men between the ages of 15 and 35. I'm just going to give you one example of how this notion of north, seeking north, becomes an example, becomes a symbol and a metaphor in American experience of seeking freedom. There is a song, perhaps some of you have heard of this song, Follow the Drinking Gourd. Follow the Drinking Gourd is a song that is really well known. It's been sung by many people. It's in hundreds. Many of these illustrations are from children's books, okay? You see people running away, and here's some of the lyrics for the Drinking Gourd song, which presume to tell you who to meet, when to meet there, where to meet, so that you could get away on the Underground Railroad or make contact with the Underground Railroad. This song came into wider use during the folk song movement of the 1940s and 50s and was sung by many people, including the Weavers and other people I don't have time to mention now, the Carter family, Johnny Cash, Richie Havens. A lot of people sing Follow the Drinking Gourd song. However, that song does not appear in the first known, first record of the spirituals in the United States, which is Slave Songs of the United States. It's not part of the repertoire of the Fisk singers who were established in 1882. There's no evidence that this song was actually sung during the antebellum period. It first appears in wider use by a folklorist, H.B. Parks, who was an entomologist and often written as an amateur folklorist, who said he heard the song sung around 1900 or maybe 1905 or maybe 1910. He publishes this in 1912. All of these dates are long after the end of slavery in the United States. It's first published to the wider public in 1928 in a Texas Historical Society publication. So therefore, we get to the story of the drinking gourd. Like the notion of the North Star, the song lives today as an oral reminder that the symbol of the North Star and associated elements, such as the drinking gourd song, demonstrate through its ongoing use that these metaphors continue to do cultural work and remain powerful today, regardless of their origin. Some folklorists, such as Richard Dorson, might call this fake lore, but others might say that the ongoing use of this metaphor means that it still is doing cultural work here in the United States. The various sources that we have about the experiences of self-emancipating people may dim the reality of the symbol, yet these songs live on, these symbols live on. They help us process the difficult and perhaps unimaginable journeys of those self-emancipating people who sought freedom whatever the cost. Even today, their North Star and the drinking gourd remain as signifiers of the freedom that each, in our own way, we all continue to seek. Thank you.